Hey everybody, this is Gary. Welcome to this week's live Path to Prosperity webinar. It's now 7:02 Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to get rocking and rolling here. So welcome aboard to all of those of you who are new to the program, whether you're in one of the investor programs for flipping, for example, or buying rentals, or managing rentals, or wholesaling, or the investor agent program for all of you who are agents and investors. Particularly welcome to the new folks. Let's just do a quick check on the attendee list. Looks like most of you are already on, thank goodness. Let's see, Tom Slaterbeck, how you doing, buddy? All right, Stephen, Shirley, Rolando, Rich, Rebecca, hi Pam, Nick, Mike, good to see you. Maxine, thanks for, I saw you last week, thanks for being on again. Jeanette, Jim Campbell, there's a blast from the past. Hopefully that's the same Jim Campbell from the Mastermind, GoBundance Mastermind group. Hey Jackie, good to see you. Gift, good to see you too. Genevieve, nice to see you from Montreal. Floyd, Cedric, dude, I'm in Lafayette. I just had dinner at Legends, and Legends is chock full of Boilermaker paraphernalia, so I'll see if I can take some pictures for you and send them to you. In any case, welcome aboard, guys, new students and veteran students. If you're new, you'll know that you're by default on mute mode, and that's on purpose because we can't always all be live audio at the same time. You can and should use your question box to post questions, okay, and I'll be monitoring those throughout the evening. Also, the next day, always please look for the email from Beverly that has the recording of the webinar, all right, as well as important updates to the platform, updates to the information, the learning material, updates to the schedule. It's just important that you always get that email that has everything in there for you. Also, we're getting ready for a final 3-day event of the year. I think there's 4 seats left. If anybody wants them, I would jump fast. The emails have gone out from Beverly already. But go ahead and jump on that if you'd like. And if you're coming, I look forward to seeing you guys in 4 days, Friday, November 2nd in Chicago, land of deep dish pizza. So, in any case, for tonight, we got a special guest, Chris Prefontaine. He's a member of one of my mastermind groups. And of course, we met through the mastermind. And if what's interesting, this is so ironic because I've been teaching you guys a lot in the last several months, several creative purchasing techniques on how to acquire property when you either can't or don't want to use your own capital or credit. It's always good to have one or both, obviously, but Chris has been able to take some of the strategies and fine tune them and really do quite a big business out of this. He's going to show you that tonight, and has an offer for you at the end. So pay attention if you guys want to take advantage of this. Now's your opportunity. I do know him personally. We've got other friends in common, so I definitely vouch for this and back it up. And some of this stuff I've done myself in the last 30 years too. So, in any case, Chris, I appreciate you being on board, man. Welcome aboard. I just wanted to let you take a second, introduce yourself to the guys, and go ahead and just take it from there. So you've got control, and you should have audio and video.
Thanks, Gary. Let me know if this is coming through, and if I'm going to shrink this so you can see everything. Am I good?
You're good. I can hear you and see you. Yep.
All right, perfect. So, hey guys, I'm going to go ahead and walk you through some cool things. Just as a way of a backdrop, 10,000-foot view, I'll introduce my family and myself a little bit more as I walk through here, so you get to know us and what makes this whole thing tick. Because we're in the field every single day doing deals as well. For you realtors, I know there's a whole bunch of you on here. I did own my own Realty Executives franchise, had about 15 or 18 agents. Didn't teach this back then, wish I did, quite frankly. So I'll walk you through what I mean by that and how you can profit on some more of these deals, whether you're brand new or been at this for a while and following some of Gary's awesome things that he talks about. Gary mentioned an offer at the end. I am going to give you no shipping, no nothing. I want to give you, just for being on Gary's webinar, the Amazon bestseller, Real Estate on Your Terms. I'll tell you how to get that. I'll also include in that package, and again, this is totally free. There's no hook here for a shipment or anything like that. On the right, you're right on the screen, is a 3-year, $1 million plan. It's very specifically 3 years to get to 1 million in flow just off of these deals that I'm going to walk you through today. So I did that. I literally stuck this slide in for this group. Who's this for? Really, I facetiously and a little bit egotistically say everyone, but certainly I know we're dealing with a lot of realtors. I spoke in San Diego a few weeks ago, and there were some doctors and seven-figure earners in the room. And I said, look, if you don't do this as a business, it's cool, but you're going to buy or sell your own home probably in the next 5, 7, 10 years. So you could use some of these techniques there. And then because of the high income earners in the room, and I'm sure you guys are in the same boat, I said, you can also do this inside of your IRA, self-directed, of course, or your Coverdell. Lucky enough now to have an 11-month-old grandson, and the week he was born, I had a Coverdell set up for him. I'll stick a couple of these deals in it, and his college will be paid for, totally, entirely tax-free. So any one of those categories or all of the above works here. And I know there's, I'm going to explain to you guys what I say over and over and over, and that is, in the real estate industry, it's not easy to find people like Gary and others that are doing some cool things in the field that are actually getting results, because the gap, I think, in the industry is enormous between buying a program or going to a seminar and then getting a deal done. So that's the huge gap. I just told the gentleman today, I have a yearly event. That's all we have. It's a very simple system that we teach. And in that room, it was about 70 or 75% of the people doing deals. That's odd. As Gary will probably agree with me, you usually have people 5, 6, 8, 10 people in the room out of a big room actually doing deals. So our goal as a family business is to close that gap. One guy said to me today, he's a high-end banker, and he said, what makes you different besides the family setup and how many people you have to go ahead and service me? I said, we're doing deals. Our students are doing deals. That's the big difference. We don't just sell stuff. I don't have stuff to sell except for my main program. I'm going to walk you through, as a realtor, if you're actively seeking listings and or actively working with buyers, how to literally not have to walk away from any deal with maybe one exception. Walk you through our predictable, proven, scalable business model, so you can either add to your existing business or tinker with some side deals. I'm going to show you a few deals, and I know we're going to be pressed for time. I'm going to be very cognizant of that tonight, and I respect your time, especially in the evening for most of you, depending on your time zone. And I'm going to show you how to pull 3 paydays out of every deal without, as Gary alluded to, using your own cash or credit. I'm going to walk through my story, but I had no choice when I started doing this. I've been at this 27 years, but after the 2008 debacle, I was forced to do some serious re-engineering and set myself up quite differently and help you do the same exact thing. What we're really doing, people say to me, all right, great, Chris, you've been at this for a while, but I'm not a salesperson. Or some of you who aren't in the field all the time might say, well, I'm not a realtor. And I say, great, because I'm not looking at teaching people how to sell or close. The guy today I talked to was a car salesman. He's actually in the finance department, but he said, I'm great with closing and selling. I said, actually, that could go against you a little bit, because all we're looking to do is solve challenges. We have a large percentage of sellers, as you guys know, that have challenges, or they just want a seamless sale, sometimes without a realtor. You and I both know, I did it for 18 years. You and I both know sometimes there's a wall up there. And so we can walk in as a realtor or walk in as an investor or pivot on the dime. A large percentage of Americans can't qualify today without any tweaks, without any credit enhancements, or without any seasoning. They can't today qualify for mortgage. And so a lot of those deals go astray with most standard realtors. And just as a way of a backdrop again, so you can see where this ties to how we can help you guys, I'll give you a little bit of background. 91 is when I started building homes. We did it with no cash or credit at the time. We built on single, what we called infill lots, all around New England, where we would find one single lot, convince the owner to let us put a sign out there, pre-sell a home, not pay for the home, not pay for the construction, not pay for the land until the home was entirely built and financed by the buyer. We did that up until about 1995 when I bought a Realty Executives franchise with a simple goal of selling that in 5 years. Everyone said, you can't do that. Realtors, you can't sell a business like that. We did. We built a nice book of business. We sold to Coldwell Banker in 2000. It wasn't huge, but it was a big deal for me back then. I think we did about $250,000 on that sale. And then we were sucked up into the Coldwell Banker web for a little bit with a non-compete. So we operated under their umbrella just for a few years. And then I started coaching people throughout the United States and Canada, mostly $1 million and up earners, so we could help get their lifestyle back in order, get the chaos back in order, and set some systems up. That drove us to build into the condominium conversion market as well as new construction market. Did some raise the roof projects as well, where my wife took a single level ranches, built up a second floor by tearing the roof off, and did a ton of those during the market. And that all led to the great debacle of 08. I hope some of you are new and you didn't have to go through that, but if you lived through that, likely you got stung a little bit or a lot of it. So we were forced in 2008, having been on so many loans personally and having the market drop by in some of our markets 2/3, We are forced to totally re-engineer the business. When I talk about terms, here's what I'm talking about. Gary and I both teach terms, but there's so many different directions to go inside of that category. So I'm talking about specifically, and this is all we do. We've done hundreds of them. We do owner financing, we do subject to existing financing, and we buy by lease purchase as well. Now, owner financing I know means a whole bunch of different things to different people. Let me tell you what it means when I say owner financing in our family company, and what we teach our students and what we call our associates, partners we work with hand in hand to do deals and partner deals and revenue share deals. We refer to owner financing as someone who is free and clear. They do not have a mortgage. They are open to getting top dollar, but waiting for their cash. We make monthly principal payments on that. We do not pay interest on any of those ever, and very rarely will we put any money down, and if we do, it's tiny. And so I want you to think about the benefits of having a monthly principal only payment with owner financing. Subject to, I think most of you will know, but just in case, where we purchase a property subject to the existing financing staying in place. So we buy the property, we own it, but the loan stays in the seller's, previous seller's name. And then lease purchase, we'll walk you through a couple sample lease purchase deals. Just so you understand, when I talk about the support and what we've got for a company, far left is my son-in-law, Zach. For those of you that maybe came to the business or even now looking to start, you don't have experience, unlike my kids, Kayla to his immediate left and my son Nick to the far right, they grew up in real estate. Zach didn't. Zach came to me in December of 15 without knowing a script or what a deal was or any terminology was. And now he runs all our buying and selling and has done a few hundred deals just in the 2.5 or 3 years he's been with us. So that's what we do with the students. We take them from scratch and walk them right through our systems. Most important person on that screen is my grandson there in the middle. Just so you know where we come from deep down, my son Nick, who was on the far right there of the screen, had a snowboard injury. And if you guys have kids, you can relate to this. Had a head injury, was in a coma for a month. Doctors told us he'd never walk, talk, or eat again. And so we support with every deal, with every student, with every product, everything we do, a piece of it goes to Franciscan Children's Hospital, just so you know what's behind the scenes for us. Very, very important. Literally saved his life, and you wouldn't know you even had an accident if you met him now. So that's a far cry from where he was. Now, to jump back to the subject matter here, people say to me all the time, I mean, literally daily, well, why would sellers do that? Why would sellers sell you the property without a down payment and take principal only? Why would sellers deed the property to you and keep it on and on? The questions come, why would sellers do it? Well, we definitely provide them a viable option for selling when selling conventionally isn't their best option. I can give you a great example. It's not on the samples I show you tonight, but we just did a nice 10-acre estate in Pennsylvania with one of our students. Gentleman was not hurting in any shape, form, or fashion, owned this property outright, beautiful house, couldn't get what he wanted in time with the realtor, wanted to go relocate to Texas to be with his family. That was his motivation, nothing to do with the money. He just wanted to get his top price and could wait for as long as we needed to. We bought that property with zero money down. His accountant and his attorney both loved it, and we gave him monthly principal payments of $1,540. This is a $500,000 estate. That deal is still going on, and we get massive monthly principal pay down. So it's just different alternatives, as Gary already teaches. We can absolutely maximize the amount of money they get, especially on the owner financing deal that I just explained. We can pay a premium. If they'll go out more years, I'll put a premium on it. We're making monthly principal payments. Do the math on how fast that goes down. I'm going to show you a couple deals that do exactly that. And then some people obviously aren't in as good a shape, and they do need a fast closing or a quick fix, in which case it usually leads to a lease purchase or subject to existing financing. Where I get my leads, you guys can all relate to this, especially if you're in the realtor space. Expires and FSBOs continue to be a big factor for us. Just right now, as you guys know, the market's a little better in most pockets we operate in. We're in about 25 states right now with our students and our associates doing different deals in different segments. But that leans more heavier on expireds than if the market's hot there. I mean, we're in some real hot markets, Washington, D.C., Orlando, Florida, still doing plenty of deals. You just fish in a different pond. So the expired and FSBO balance changes from time to time, like a little teeter-totter. We do get a ton of different leads from multiple sources, but divorced couples, people with multiple homes just looking to clean up. I've had people, elderly couples with multiple homes, understand real estate inside and out, love our model, and just want to kind of rid themselves of some of the headaches they've been dealing with for perhaps years and years. Debt relief, as I just alluded to, and avoiding short sales. Some of you guys, if you're a listing agent, and you go in for a home where they don't want to have a short sale, or they don't want to come out of pocket for a particular sale to pay a realtor, you can buy these things and really have an answer for almost everyone, unless someone is so far behind they let their house payment go for a year or two. It's frankly, as a realtor, the only time you couldn't take a property and really make a nice deal out of it for you and for your seller. On the buyer side, we exit all our properties with a rent to own, with almost no exceptions, rent to own. The buyer enjoys the home during the lease period, just like a homeowner. So they enjoy the appreciation, because they lock in their price, instead of renting and letting the market go right past them in some cases. They also have time to qualify for a mortgage. It might just be that they need to save more and their credit's good. It might mean that they have to enhance credit. It might mean that they're self-employed and need to go ahead and get a couple of years of seasoning, because the days of the stated income loans, they exist, but they're upwards of, the ones I've found have been upwards of 7, 8, 9%. And so that's a product that's not down in the 4s and 5s right now. And so they might need to just get seasoned a little bit. And I said it earlier that they do lock in their price as well. So benefits on both sides. We get our buyers mostly from those categories that I alluded to. Self-employed's a biggie. I love them because they're typically I'll use a plumber for an example. This was a recent one. Relocated from New York, came to Rhode Island, thought, no problem. I got great down payment, 50 grand down, looking in the 400,000 and 500,000 range. So decent down payment. Walks in the bank, thinks he's going to get a stated income loan. Hadn't done it since 2007. Bank, of course, told him we don't have that, at least not at the good rates, and he'd need to go ahead and get seasoned for a couple of years. They're great. They don't have credit issues that we have to deal with. A majority of them, however, do have credit enhancement that's necessary or repair of some sort. And then, of course, job change presents the same issue as the seasoning issues. When I said 3 paydays per deal, I'll start to get into a little bit now of the deals. So when I say 3 paydays and I say that we exit all our properties with rent to own, where are the 3 paydays? One is the deposit that we take up front. It's non-refundable. I'm going to talk about the difference in our moral, ethical, and legal standpoint on that one issue that's kind of controversial online, so I'm going to make sure we bring it up. The second is the spread. The spread, simply the difference between what I'm paying the bank or the seller and what I'm collecting from my tenant buyer. I'm going to give you some actual hard numbers on the next screen or two, showing you what these numbers translate to. And then, of course, our cash out. Cash out's pretty cool, because the cash out, when you're on the investor side, you're getting the markup in price, of course, but you're also getting any and all principal pay down benefit through the term of the lease or the owner financing deal. So if I take over your house as a seller and I structure a lease purchase and I'm paying that underlying mortgage, and that underlying mortgage has, I don't know, $400 in principal pay down benefit every month, that's accruing to me. So the longer that term goes, I'm okay with it, because I'm getting all of that principal pay down, just like I own the house, even though it's a lease purchase. Let me show you what some hard numbers are. Before I do that, actually, let me talk about the issue I alluded to when I said there's some controversy. You can go on tonight on YouTube and you will find some very well-known names online saying, oh, your rent owns great, because if they don't get their financing, you just go ahead and put another buyer in there and collect another deposit. Well, that sounds good, and it's true, but that's not something I want to put my head down the pillow at night. So we have probably to date the strictest policy I've run into, where our buyer has to be vetted by our tenant screening company, not just for the criminal, sexual harassment, all the things you want to check for anyone you're dealing with, put them in a home, but I mean to be mortgage ready. If they are not going to be mortgage ready, unless some life event happened, if they're not going to be mortgage ready inside of the term that I have set with my seller, preferably a year earlier to leave a buffer, then they're not going to be accepted. They can't do it. The deposit's great. They gotta have that, but they have to have a mortgage ready plan that's going to pan out and get them to the finish line, or they're not getting accepted. So they go through the credit screening, they get a mortgage ready plan, they go through our underwriter with American Financial, and then and only then do we sit in front of them and then see if we want to accept them with a detailed plan. I want to throw some people at you just so you can get different backgrounds. This is not a real estate background. Mike and his wife Tiffany, their baby's a year old now, so this was sometime last year. But Mike works nonstop in the produce business, came from the banking industry, 12-hour days, hour commute each way. All that to say that he's managed to crank out. This was his first deal, showing you the 3 paydays. I'm not going to read it to you, but he's now cranked out. I think he's on his 4th deal, and I got a short video of him as well. So busy people, great. The guy I talked to today, I told you, the banker, busy, does $50 to $250 million loans, just wants out of corporate. Great. If that's you and you're busy, perfect. I can show you how to fit that into your schedule. Here are the 3 paydays I talked about. These are actual averages for us guys as of when I spoke in San Diego about 3 weeks ago now. Payday 1 averages for us just under 27 grand. That's pretty cool. When I started doing terms deals, it was close to like 10,000. Now what changed? Did my pricing go way up? Did the home values go way up? Nothing to do with it. What changed is the nuances and the tweaks and the adjustments we've made. Now my son handles all our buyers, Nick, but the changes we've made to become more profitable in each one of these paydays. Payday number 2 doesn't change that much. If anything, it maybe creep down a little bit because I'm more concerned with the overall picture. That $308 represents the average spread for us over about 23 of the last deals. Difference between what we're paying out to a seller or a mortgage company and what we're taking from our tenant buyer. But that's per deal. And then the payout 3 is somewhere, payday 3 when we cash out is somewhere around 35 grand. So our average now is around 74 grand, almost 75. Now, is that the same for everyone? No. In Arizona, we have a client there. Her average is closer to 45 or 50. She's actually the lowest in our entire system. And the highest in our system is in DC. He's averaging around 110, 120 grand per deal. And you'll see him in a couple minutes here. So it's all over the place. We happen to be right in the middle in New England, but that's just coincidental. Okay, let me back up. So that screen shows you per deal, right? I'm going to show you a snapshot of 2017 so you can see a couple things before I show you the screen. One, what can be amassed in 1 year? Not 5 or 6 or 10 years. Sure, you take your time, you can do that. But I'm going to show you with just like 22 or 23 deals, what was put on the book, so to speak. And so this tells you that, but it also tells you, hey, if I put X amount of deals on the books, unlike going to do another new deal as a realtor or going to do another flip as a rehab or going to do another wholesale as a wholesale, those are all great, but you got to do it again to get paid. When you look at what we created, these are actual numbers to the penny in 2017. In payday number 1s alone, we put on the books in 2017 around 600 grand almost. In payday number 2s, a new net monthly spread of 6,500 bucks. That's pretty cool. So for a lot of people, if the 22 or 23 deals, whatever this represents, I'm within 1 or 2 of that. If that took you 3 years, most people say, okay, that'd be cool. I could get another 6,500 per month. And on top of that, I brought in 600 grand cash. And my future paydays ranging in terms from 12 to 60 months is almost $1 million, 822,000. So in that 1 year, we put together 1.6. Now, can you take 3 or 4 months off now, take a breather, take some time with the family, and then come back at it? Yeah, whatever pace you want. My kids are 28, 29, and 30, counting my son-in-law. So we stay at it. We don't take that much time off, but every quarter or so we do travel together. You have the luxury of doing that. Sergio's actually a realtor, so I wanted to throw him in here for you guys. He's out in Florida, not too far away from Orlando. And prior to me, he had some struggling, as everybody does, did a few wholesale deals, but same as a realtor, it's kind of spinning that plate to get another deal versus creating some long-term cash flow. And so he outlines there his payday 1, 2, and 3. Not bad, just under 50 grand. But for his first deal, I happened to be at a seminar locally there, so we connected literally the week he closed on that. Pretty cool. This is Bill. Now I want to play this for you guys because Bill is 20 years almost to the day my senior. I'm 52. Bill's 72. He had some 20 some odd years in commercial real estate leasing, coincidentally. Was a consultant when we met, had looked into a bunch of programs and then came on with us. He is, I'll bring up to date because this is a few months old. He is one of our associates that we do deals with around the country. And Bill is approaching $1 million in the last 12 months with us. In the first 6 months, he just kind of fought around and got things set up. So he's been with me almost 18 months come the end of this year. I want you to hear a little bit what he has to say about this.
Hi, my name is Bill Reich, and I'm a High Six member and part of the Smart Real Estate Group. And I want to tell you a little bit about my background and why I think if you have at all the chance to get involved with Smart Real Estate Coach, it's a no-brainer. I was in commercial and investment real estate for the better part of 30 years and also did some business development. I just got tired of the same thing over and over and over again. And my compensation was tied to the number of hours I could physically put into what I was doing. And I decided after a long career, I wanted to get into a business that was scalable, where I could get some help. And my compensation wouldn't necessarily be tied to my own efforts. And I did a lot of research, spent over a year looking into various scenarios, and I honed in on rent-to-own, lease purchase, and there were about half a dozen practitioners I started to follow. Spent countless thousands of dollars on courses and webinars and books and tapes, and most of you probably know what I'm talking about, and came across Chris in my studies, and I took him up on his offer for a free phone call and talk about a business plan, and I just immediately hit it off with the guy. I loved his very direct, forward style. He's a no BS kind of guy. He clearly loves to do deals, and he clearly loves to teach people about it. And that came across, and not just Chris, but his kids. Sorry, kids, everybody's a kid to me, but especially you guys. But they are all talented. They are the backbone of his company. And frankly, I don't think Chris would be where he is without them. And they are equally involved with their students and the people who join up with them. And it's just a very comforting fact to know that no matter what comes up, somebody is there to help you on a day-to-day basis. It certainly helped me. At this point, it's been a little over a year. We just sold our 7th home. Three paydays each. We have about $700,000 in the hopper, and we're on track to do $1 million by the end of the year. It all starts with the QLS course. If you're serious about making money and being really good in what you do in real estate investing, QLS is a no-brainer. Joining up with Chris and the family is a no-brainer. And I urge you to do it, and I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thanks.
All right, guys. So I want to now kind of pivot, but he said two things that I'm chuckling here that I should have brought up to you at the beginning. A, as you probably figured out for the last 25 minutes, I can go rather fast. That's just kind of my style, number one. Number two, I'm watching your time, making sure I fit everything in, a ton of content here, and we're just about halfway there. And the second thing is, as Bill alluded to, is we are very blunt. We have 6 values as a company, as a family entity, and one of them is clear and to the point, no gray area. So you will never find us beating around the bush, and I just don't want people to take it personally when I zip through this, and I'm as blunt as I am. So I hope that's okay. 3 reasons I said at the very beginning that I would talk about why people aren't making money in real estate. I alluded to one of them being that big gap, but part of the reason it is the lack of implementation. Bill alluded to it, and another guy, Don, I'm going to show you soon, literally spent 6 figures before meeting us and had not completed a deal, which just blows my mind. So that kind of going and taking the course or going to a seminar and then not implementing is just crazy. And that's what the majority of people are doing. So we've put the support mechanisms in place to offer strategy calls from our team, myself, my son-in-law, and my son, as well as email support as part of our Quantum Leap system. That's that QLS he alluded to. The second thing is this. Best way I can explain this one is, as far as learning how to do deals in the trenches, is the difference, the correlation with learning how to surf. After Nick's accident, I told you about his accident earlier. After his accident, he was finally cleared. So this would have been like 2004, a year after his accident. We went to Hawaii. We took surfing lessons. Kim didn't. My wife stayed on the shore. It was me and Nick and Kayla, my daughter. So you don't get the wrong picture. The waves were about 6 inches, not 6 feet, because we were just learning. But before we went out in the water, they had us on the beach on the surfboard. And if anyone's ever done this, you can relate to this. But you're on the beach. The instructor's next to you. Okay, get on your knees. Okay, here's how you're going to pedal out. Okay, here's how you're going to stand up. So that all sounds and feels good. That's just like you sitting in a seminar room or going through a course, and that all sounds and feels good, and it all sounds perfect, and everything's going to go perfectly. And then you go out and like me, come in, hit some reef, and come in with bloody knees. That's expensive in real estate. And so we've also put that mechanism in place to say, okay, if you've got a question about buyers, you're going to be chatting with my son, Nick. If you got a question on sellers, you're probably going to be with myself or my son-in-law, Zach, depending on the level of it. If you have legal questions, you're probably going to be with either our attorney or my daughter, Kayla, and on it goes. So we have someone that does this every day in the trenches, just doing the same thing with our students. So we're in the trenches every single day. And I got to tell you, if you're not following someone, and it could be me or anyone else or Gary, it doesn't matter. I'm not so naive to think that my personality is for everyone. But I would tell you that if they're not in the trenches today, then you're wasting time. It's going to cost you too much money. Real estate changes too quickly to not have someone doing deals every single day in the trenches. Now, does that mean because we're together, they're all smooth deals? No. There's an entire chapter in the book I'm going to mail you, our bestseller. It's called What Can Go Wrong. I want you to know the stuff that goes on in the field. I want you to know the nuances. I want you to know the challenges we've had so you can either avoid them or know that we're there with a phone call or an email away. And so I'm the first to tell you that it's not all smooth. It's not all fluffy. Stuff's going to happen. It's a matter of being able to call someone and get through it. And the last one is the deal structuring. So, okay, you get through the whole setup, you get through the seminar or the course, you get through the point where you understand the lingo, you get all the way through, you're generating leads. And by the way, we don't do mailers and all the expensive stuff. There's no need for it. You're going to have an overhead here that's going to run you somewhere between $300 and $550 a month to do the numbers we're talking about is pretty significant. But then you get to the end zone and you say, okay, I got this in, now which direction do I go with it? I kind of poo-pooed a little bit on wholesaling and rehab, even though I do those on the side on occasion, because when a deal comes in, do you need to know how to pivot and take care of it? Yes. And so you kind of become what I call in the book a master transaction engineer, understanding how to deal structure almost anything. When Bill said you can tell I like deals, well, that's why I don't get out of the business. The day it becomes boring or the deal's not creative, then that's part of the day I'll be out. These are all, the deal always changes. That's what's kept me in the business for 20-something years. I talked earlier about a predictable model. I want to tell you what I mean by that. This is not ambiguous or vague in any way when it's set up properly. And this is what we coach and teach and do every single day. This is all about knowing your numbers, and when you're brand new, okay, you won't know them, so you're going to borrow hours. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're going to know from our several hundred deals how many property information sheets, how many sellers do I need to speak with to convert to an appointment, to convert to a contract, to convert to a check in my hand that's going to be somewhere between $45,000 and $110,000 per deal. That's what I mean by knowing the numbers. And then it becomes pretty simple, pretty predictable. So you set your goals with us. This is what we do on the strategy calls, by the way, with every single student. You set your goals and we say together, okay, great, here's your goal. Let's see if it's realistic. Let's back out the time you have. Does that match? Okay. Now let's back out how many property information sheets you have to go through. And then let's make sure all that is in sync. So nobody has missed expectations out there, or mismanaged expectations, I should say. And then we just help you with the necessary money-producing activities, MPAs, money-producing activities, to hit those numbers. Now, that's watered down to the point where one of my mentors, Gary, is in one of the mastermind groups, actually. He said, Chris, you sound like you're just very logical, like you expect students to do A, B, C, and get D. I said, well, yeah, why not? It's that predictable, but you just have to be able to execute with us kind of helping you through that. I showed you Mike when he did his first deal. This probably would be several months ago now. He was on his way to either the third or fourth deal, literally driving with his brother Chris to go to what we call the buyer's meeting, the first meeting where we sign a buyer's LOI and collect the first check of payday number one. And so I want to hear him for about a minute or so. Stand by here.
Hi everyone, this is Mike from California, driving out to another buyer's signing today. Going to collect another $15,000 check. I've been in the program for about, less than a year and a half now. Have almost 300,000 worth of deals under my belt, and ongoing. I'm doing this all while working a full-time job, and my main goal, of course, is to do this full-time. So building it slowly, but to gain and build almost $300,000 worth of deals in less than a year and a half, I could say that is for sure a success. So thank you, Smart Real Estate Coach, for all that you've done. And here's to another check.
Okay, and just as a reminder, guys, Mike's one that came to me. I remember it was February of 17. Actually, we were on a phone call, a free strategy call that I'm going to offer all you guys. It's just exploratory. You can ask me anything you want. And on that call, he said, man, I've looked at franchises. I've looked at all kinds of things. Why is your stuff so cheap? And I just chuckled. He said, I got to get you on a commercial or something. So Mike's super busy, and his expectation coming into this was, all right, I'm going to give this 3 years. Not 90 days, not I'll try it, 3 years. And that's the type of people I love working with, because he's at this thing for the long term. He's not just fussing with it, looking for a quick fix. This is Don. This is the one I alluded to, saying that he had actually spent 6 figures. His wife pictured there, Michelle, said at dinner, because we go out to these markets with some of these students, and we fly at our expense, go to your market and do deals with you. And at our first time we did that with him at dinner, she said to him, can I tell him? I said, yeah, go ahead. He said, yeah, go ahead. So she tells me that she said to him, "You're not going to another real estate thing. You're not buying another real estate program. You're not spending another dime." Because he had spent $100,000 and didn't do one deal. At least Sergio did a deal. This guy did no deals. He's a full-time electrical engineer. As you can see, a couple of kids keep him busy. One just went off to college, and this is his very first deal right here on the screen. I won't read it to you, but to pull that kind of money out of a $130,000 house, mainly because of the principal pay down, and it was only a 24-month term. This is a short-term deal. It's already been closed out. This guy went through QLS, Mike Ryan. Cool story. Showed up at our 2017 event, 20 or 22 years, whatever it is, in the police force in New Jersey, New York area. Had done 7 or 8 deals, stood up and introduced himself. Had only gone to my video course and never met him. Came this year, QLS 18 live. So this is last fall. We run it once a year, last month rather. He had completed 24 or 27 deals in the last 12 months since the last event. And again, all he's done is gone through our course. He's not gone through consulting. He has not gone through any partnering or anything. He's just gone through the course. And he is full-time, left the police force after 20-something years, and talked to several officers in the room, telling them why they should go do the same exact thing. So I'd love to create more stories, guys. I told Gary, and I say it in all my talks, I really do. It's cool to be able to bring people into our community. It's a unique community. They're very close. People you just heard from and many more are super, super close. They help each other. We're on a private Slack group every single day together, helping each other like a private mastermind. I want to walk you through a couple deals. I'm going to watch my time and see if we can get through 2 or 3. But the first one here is an owner financing, and it's the type I said to you earlier that it was free and clear. The original source, especially if you realtors, wasn't expired, but it wasn't in this house. Up the street, his dad passed away, and they had several properties he and his 2 brothers were getting rid of. Now, I didn't know it because they were both very cold and very kind of bummed out, obviously, over their dad's passing. And so when I went in and explained what we did, they just kind of looked at me. And my son and I laughed, and I didn't hear anything. And about 9 months later, one of the brothers called me back. He owned this house here pictured. And he said, "Can you come see us and do that owner financing thing?" My brothers didn't want to go. We sold off all dad's property, but this is my last house, and we're moving to South Carolina. We're leaving Monday. This was a Friday. We went on a Saturday, drafted up the PNS, did everything else electronically in FedEx. Bought this house at 183.9. Realtor had it on for 219. So I basically said, okay, what would the commission have been? What do you think you really were going to get? Gave him that exact number. He didn't know what I was asking. I gave him that exact number he said he thought he really was going to get. We put $900 down, and that breaks the rule of no money down. What we did is we started the monthly mortgage payments to him at $923 a month, principal only, 60 days after closing. So we essentially put no money down. We sold it on a rent-own for $240, just under $240. We took in $1,500 a month for that. And so the first payday was small, $15,000 actually was fairly small. We don't do that anymore, especially for that size house. You'd get more over time. It's another whole tactic, a whole technique we can show you. Payday 2 is $577. It's actually a little off. We pay a little insurance out of that. It's like 80 or 90 bucks because we own the house, remember. And then the payday 3 is pretty huge. Now, this actually changed. I'm going to give you the summary, but I'm going to tell you how this changed for the better. We've created many what we call payday 4s, actually, some cool techniques. But just in summary, here's how this one looks if we didn't create that. 183.9 minus the principal pay down was about $139,000 it would be due. So the 44 grand, remember, represents my monthly payments. If you take the 239 minus that payoff it's due, minus the 15 we already got off of the sales price from the buyer, 85 grand was that final payout. So it's a total of 128 grand on a 183 house. Think about that. Now, we created a 4th payday in this deal, and we do this many different ways, many different times. But in this one, we did this. When we have scheduled, as you can imagine, many payday 1s and 3s on the books, you have the luxury of when that money comes in, you can spend it, you can do whatever you want with it. But what we do each year end is we email some of our select properties, and we say about 2 weeks before Christmas, we offer some of the people who we owe cash to at some date in the future an early payday, an early payoff partial. And it's, of course, remember, right before the holidays. And we say, for example, in this one, I said, I'll pay you $6,200 principal now. This is not a fee or anything. I'll pay you an additional $6,200 if you can extend the owner financing terms for another 12 months on the mortgage. So we paid him $6,200 down extra because it came from another deal's payday schedule. And we got the deal extended a year. So it's another $923 a month times 12 months principal pay down. Think about that. So in addition to $128,000, we just picked up another almost $12,000 in principal pay down just by extending the term because we're not paying it. tenant buyer wasn't ready to cash out yet. So it was a perfect way to help him and his family and give this family some cash during the holidays. They were thrilled. They extended it 12 months and said, are you going to do this again next December? So we probably will. We'll keep doing that with them. So this deal continues to go on. Next one is actually a simple deal. A lot of you realtors would appreciate this one. This was on the market for about 11 months, I think it was, with a realtor that actually knew of me. I knew of him. I had sent what we call a yellow letter, just a letter a lot of investors use and some of you probably use in the field today. Send it to a free and clear list. It means they were all debt free. This guy got it, had it on the market still. The realtor sign was literally still in the yard. Seller wanted $220. Again, was debt free. He wanted $1,500 a month. He also didn't have any wiggle room, didn't want me to stay in the middle with what we call sandwich lease, didn't want to own a financing, just was real adamant about him controlling everything. So we created what we call an AO in our business. That simply stands for assign out. It means I put it under agreement, found the tenant buyer like I always would, but instead of staying in the middle and having the luxury of payday 2 and payday 3, I just get the buyer, get a upfront deposit, split it with the seller, and assign it back to the seller. That's what we call an AO in our world. So it's a lease purchase, but then we assign with our right to do so, the buyer back to the seller. I don't want you guys to think, okay, is this where I'm going to kind of learn to get rich quick or learn how to do these deals? I'm just exposing you to something different. I said to Gary before the webinar, by no means in an hour can anyone teach you how to go out and do deals, but I can expose you to some more ideas, I hope, a nugget or two, because a lot of you guys are creative already, to get you thinking a little bit more outside whatever your present box is, and that's what I look to do every single week. This particular deal, we took a $23,000 deposit, $23,500, and split it 50-50 with the owner. I don't do that anymore, guys. I'm more down to 25 or 33% to the owner, but this was an earlier deal. It's since been cashed out. This is in like 2013. We got $1,680 a month for this guy. He only wanted 15. And if you do the math on this, he wanted 220. I sold for 235 and gave him half the deposit. So that's pretty cool. He got more than he wanted. We got a nice $11,000 check. This deal was done in 11 days. So even though these AO deals aren't as lucrative, you only collect one payday. So we do very little of these now. So out of 30 deals, we might do one in a year or two, just for the seller that it might fit for. They're nice, easy checks though. Just so you can see this on a multi, and then I'll move on so we can wrap up on time. This was a 4-unit. Now, this has nothing to do with exiting on a rent-own, nothing to do with it. This strategy was very simple. This gentleman was selling this house. He was a professor at a local college. He was selling it by owner for $259,900. We said, okay, we'll give you the full $259,900. This is where the sellers like it. We'll give you that. You haven't been able to sell this FSBO. School season's coming. We'll pay you $1,023 a month, principal only, every penny, no interest. We'll do that for a 4-month term. And our net operating income after paying the management company, because we don't run these things, I don't want to know about being a landlord. We pay the management company locally, I think it was 7%, we've given them other buildings. And we netted on that every single month, not counting the laundry, $735 a month. The exit strategy at the time was going to be to ride out the 48 months. Market was doing well, obviously. You guys all know that for the last 3 or 4 years. Increase the net operating income. The rents were super low, and we can improve the units as they turned over. Just to summarize those numbers, and I'll tell you how it ended up, because we already closed this early. $259,900 minus the principal payoff that was done over the term, if we let it ride all the way out, would have been $210. $279,900 sell price, which is what we sold it for. Actually, it's done. It was closed on the 20th of last month. Minus $210 for the payoff, plus about $70,000, plus that monthly cash flow. Now, here's what we did. We got a buyer a little bit earlier than we anticipated. So we called the owner. This is, again, one of those payday 4 techniques. And we said, look, Fred, I know you're expecting this in about, I think we were a year and a half away from it, for the 210 or so. But if I was able to put a deal together, because I think I'm close, I was honest with them. We've got some home inspection issues, but if I can put this together, how much could you take if I can get this done instead of making you wait? I know we wanted to get the money. There's 2 kids going to college. In one phone call, he brought that down to $202. So we picked up another $8,000 on that deal. Not too shabby for doing it prior to the end of the term, in the mid 200s to high 200s. And we've done many of these. This one was not, but we've done many of these in our IRA owned LLC. And so you plow just one of these. We did a 6-unit right around the corner, plowed that through a Roth self-directed IRA and brought in $116,000 with about a $500 deposit. So you can do these all day long. Once you fix your own cash flow, You can do these all day long in your self-directed. Now, because of the speed I go and I throw those the deals at you, and I don't think we're gonna have more time for any deals. I know you might feel like you got to drink with a fire hose. The QLS as well as some Q&A we can do is the best solution I can give you. So here are a couple thoughts. I'm going to walk you through for the last few seconds, the last few minutes, what the QLS means that you heard those guys refer to, Quantum Leap System, what it looks like, and then give you guys some special stuff just because you're on Gary's webinar. I told him right before, again, I said, Gary, I'll just do this. I'll give him a special email. We'll give the first 10 people some really cool bonuses. I do want to have the ability for you guys to take questions if Gary wants to field some, and or if we want to just go ahead and have you email support at smartrealestatecoach.com. You'll get answered by myself, Nick, or Zach, and you'll actually have Lauren who fields all the support calls. Gary, if you want me to keep rolling, unless you want to throw a question or two at me, it's up to you.
Yeah, we do have a question that came up really early, and I thought this was going to happen. I in one of your slides you mentioned you don't like pre-foreclosures. I don't like them either. Usually when my students hear me talk about pre-foreclosures / short sales, it's relative to REOs. Like REOs are just easier to deal with than short sales. But relative to this, I think this is from Jeanette, by the way. So Jeanette is asking, why the comment about not willing to do with short sales relative to the program here,
Yeah, so what I meant to, and I know I go fast, so that slide, Jeanette, and thanks for the question, relative to short sales, I meant if a seller, if you're a realtor and you walk in and the seller might be upside down and they don't want to do a short sale themselves, they don't want to have a ding on their credit, or they don't want to have a challenge with that, you're the solution, because you can buy an over-leveraged house on lease purchase or subject to, as long as the term is long enough. So what I meant by that slide was, if a seller doesn't want to, and you enter as a realtor and you normally would not get that deal and maybe walk out, you can get the deal by buying it. That's what that slide meant.
Cool. Okay, good. And another one, actually there's a couple of them, similar type question itself. So you got some great examples, and I was following what you were doing, but they're asking, can they go through maybe one of the simpler ones again, more slowly, like when you first approached them, like what did you say? That's kind of the question that's coming through. There's several of them like that same exact format there. If you have a simpler example, just walk through it, and then they can kind of feel like if they were, you can actually use them as, let's say they were the seller.
Sure.
And one other person, maybe was the buyer. She goes, yeah, that'd be great if you could do that.
I was going to see if I had one. Let me do this verbally, and you guys can tell me if this helps. And by the way, let me say this too. This is super important, because this question is important, and I skipped over that whole conversation time-wise. You guys can and should, for free, just go to our YouTube channel, and every Sunday we put out a Sunday deal structure. That's the day, every Sunday, a deal structure Sunday video, and it's myself or Zach on the whiteboard. And every week it's a different one. Could be live at an event, could be a deal we just did and we just kind of bang it out in the camera. But those are going to be super helpful for you, because every single deal is different. And so that'd be my suggestion for you. Let me walk you through the one I alluded to, as long as we have time, Gary. The one I alluded to earlier, the 10-acre estate. Here was the whole conversation. So our student, it wasn't our in-house deal, our student Don, who you just saw on the screen with his kids in the basketball court, he had a seller that came from, we use virtual assistants. We have one we've had for 5.5 years. Some of our higher end kind of partner students utilize him actually, and that's a huge luxury because they get who we have. And if not, we refer you to other good ones. And this virtual assistant had called on a for sale by owner, found out that gentleman I alluded to on the 10-acre estate was looking to move to Texas. And this was actually right before Thanksgiving 17, a year ago. So we talked to him on the phone. Owner financing and lease purchase was a foreign word or entity to this guy. He said, but look, he was in the oil business, so he's a bright guy. He said, let me check with my attorney and my accountant. Now, usually that spells probably, okay, check with your accountant, check with the attorney. One of them is going to be a pessimist and look to protect you. You're asking for their opinion. In this case, they both came back when looking at the lease purchase and looking at the owner financing. Both came back and said to him, his name was Randy, said, Randy, look, you're leaving. You're going to see your kids. I like the owner financing better. You have closure, you have first position of the mortgage. Long story short, we did a conference call. I did the call with Don. He was brand new. This was Chinese to him or different language to him. So I said, I'll do the call with you. You just listen. I did the call with the whole group, the seller, the attorney, and the accountant. We got the deal. We signed it up on, I think that was a short term, like 2 years. So that one's coming up in a year. And the structured payments of $1,540 principal were not even a question. Didn't bring it up. The no money down was not even a question. Didn't bring it up. All he cared about was, A, I'm leaving. Can you guys handle this? Do I have confidence in that? He did his due diligence online and said, yes, okay. B, when I leave, am I secure? And his accountant and his attorney said, yeah, you have first position on the house. You know, you're comfortable with your value. You wouldn't have put it on there. And so the deal got done with about 2 or 3 phone calls. Now, Don went out to see the house, but I did my work with him on the phone. So that was that owner financing deal. I don't know, Gary, if that helps as far as what the conversation looked like and felt like, but that deal structure Sunday, just subscribe to the YouTube. It'll help a lot. Does that help?
Yeah, that helps a lot. We do the same thing too, Chris, on our weekly webinars. At least once a month, we're bringing up deals and running them through different calculators to see not just what they look like now, but how can we make them work? What would they look like in 5 years? That kind of thing. So that's awesome that you do that, you know?
Yeah, because I know it gets to be a lot, because that's why I put that fire hose sign. It's a lot.
Yeah.
I just want to show you the 10,000 foot view. If you want, I can, please write that support@smartrealestatecoach.com down and let them know that you are on this webinar with Gary and Chris. That's all. And they'll throw it to me, or they'll make sure they answer it properly, okay?
Okay, awesome.
Cool. Let me walk you through QLS. We'll see if there's any straggling questions after that. And I think there's like one little short video left here. So all we're doing, guys, you're all used to doing this. If you're in the field in any shape, form, or fashion, you're just solving challenges, and they're not always bad. The good ones, like the one I just told you, is a super positive challenge. You just want to get out of there and be free of it. So you just putting those things together. The difference between you and a realtor is you're controlling this home by buying it or taking equitable interest in it, period. And so you do control it in every way. Here's what the QLS walks you through. You literally, people say to me, yeah, but does it give you A to Z? I buy a lot of programs and it just wants to sell me another program. I agree. That's that gap I talked about. This gives you A to Z. I walk you through. It's nothing fancy. It's myself or one of the kids behind the camera, and we walk you through. Go get this vendor. Here's where to get them. Here's who we use. Here's how to set it up. Okay, now go get this person. And we walk you through everything, how to find the sellers, then how to obviously close the qualified tenant buyers, and then how to automate that thing, because it's great to get up to a certain amount of deals. But as my son-in-law Zach said to me today, he says, yeah, see, what's happening with Bill and some of these guys are getting real busy is now they have to really take advantage of the automation that we offer. And when they're brand new, they don't. And so all this stuff comes to fruition. And then, of course, here we are again. Jeanette, you brought up deal structuring. We walk you through structure after structure after structure in addition to the free stuff that you have. We're going to show you how to consistently get that lead generation on autopilot. For us, it's mostly virtual assistants. I don't want to be calling around. I want to talk to people that have said yes to a virtual assistant. Yes, have Jeanette call me. Have Chris call me. Have someone call me. Yes, yes, yes. That's who I want to talk to. And then what I mean by placing the proper bucket is, I mentioned that in my books. I use that terminology, you'll see. But what I mean is the virtual assistant sends you a property information sheet, and it has some notes on it. And it tells you why they're selling, if it's motivation or not, and high or low. And then you got to know then how to pivot with that. Is it going to be an owner financing? Is it going to be a sandwich lease? What is it going to be and why? And so we help you with that. We help you analyze the property information sheets, and we walk you through sheet after sheet after sheet. So you get real good at it, and you can play this thing over and over and over again. What scripts to use, what to say, when to say it. Actually, you'll find this pretty cool. We take, so say Jeanette was one of our students. She's one of our associates who we partner with. We actually critique her live calls if she wants to share them. And we actually do live calls and send them, and a bunch of those are in the Quantum Leap system. So you get to hear actual live calls, no edited, except for any personal information. It's all live calls. Some are great, some are not so great, some stumble, but we want you to see that it's real, and it's what we do every single day. What forms to use? Guys, this is a biggie. People try to wing it with this. I've had students come to me and say, well, I did one of those deals, but it didn't work, and here's why. And I just cringe because the contracts and the forms are incorrect. Our attorney has spoken the last 3 years at our live event. Students love it because he sits up there with no agenda and tells them what we've gone through, what contracts to use and why, and takes Q&A. And he's developed every single contract we have. And guess what? Every single one of them are in the QLS. We don't keep anything out. Everything is in there for you to watch. Let me show you what it looks like. It's an online platform. You get access to this, and as we update it, so we've already updated it once in May and then once in September. And if you're one of the QLS users, you don't pay a monthly fee. There's no continuity. This is a one-time course, and you own it for life, and you can access it every time we update it. You'll get updated that you got to go check out that new add to the module. Let me show you what it looks like here real quick.
Hi, it's Chris Prefontaine, and I want to thank you for your interest in the Quantum Leap system, or QLS, as you'll hear us refer to many times. Commit to doing whatever it takes for however long it takes to create a monster lifestyle, whatever that is for you. And I'm not talking just financially, but a lifestyle you want and deserve and wish to design. Look forward to working together.
And guys, what I should say is where this comes from, where the QLS comes from, like why do we change it or update it, like I just said, and you'll get that update. Well, because we'll put it out last May and we get comments from the associates and the students. Then we go to our live event and they say, yeah, that was great, but I didn't know how to get to this section or this stage. And we just constantly tweak it. If you can imagine hundreds of people throwing ideas at us, and every quarter or so we update that. That's what you're gonna get. I want to fast forward you before I wrap up and show you Don. I love riding him because of the money he spent before he met us. But I'll show you where he is now. Now keep in mind, for you engineers that might be on the line here, I call him the thinker brain. He puts everything on a spreadsheet. He knows his numbers to the penny, and he'll walk you through where it's gone since that first deal that he posted that comment about.
Hey, Chris, Don Strickland here. Hey, just wanted to reach out and give you a shout out to you and your team. And thanks for all your help and what you do, and just give you some facts and figures of kind of where we stand today. Anyway, started probably back in I think mid-20s, about 2 years ago this month with our first deal. So still working a corporate job, doing this part-time, sometimes part-time, other times a little bit more, a little bit less. So anyway, we've got 18 deals tied up total, which equates to about $4.3 million in total value of the properties out of those 18. So to date, we've done all 3 paydays, which are on the books, collecting profits right now in all 3 paydays, which totals a little north of $400,000. So that's money that's coming on all 3 paydays. The next, right now, the next portion is under agreement, which we are currently selling. We've got 2 of those are sold right now. So actually, I'm going to a buyer's meeting here shortly, waiting for the next step form from the buyer to come through. So we'll probably lock that deal up. So anyway, that was those deals right now under agreement are about $327,000. That's pending right now. So those ones that are under agreement. So total profits that we have right now are $727,000. So that's for 2 years worth of work, part-time. So, and I know, we've got about 5 more right now, which are 4 single families that I'm working on with some sellers. And one of those, or actually a 5th one, is a 9-unit multi-unit building we're working on. So there's 5 in the hopper that's coming. Those will probably be easily worth, I'm thinking probably close to, those 5 are gonna be at least 500 to 750,000 profits on those. So anyway, 2 years part-time, not bad. I know, looking forward to doing a lot more and breaking off from the corporate world. Definitely, that's the goal in mind. So just want to thank you for all your time and kicking the pants every now and then. So it's all good, and look forward to many more profitable paydays. So again, just want to thank you guys and look forward to many more deals. All right, have a great day.
Guys, he mentioned the next step form. So just to kind of put that into reality. So one of the many forms that we help you guys with is when the buyer calls come in, we realize that 80% of them are going to be renters despite every single effort you make to say rent to own. And we send them to an automated line, which sends them to some educational videos that kind of weed out the junk. And I don't mean to say all renters are junk, it's just relative to what we're trying to do. So it weeds them out. And then eventually, after they go through pre-screening, they fill out what's called a next step form. And that next step form will tell you how much money do they have for down payment if they were to take over the home, how much income, et cetera, et cetera. That's what he referred to as the next step form. Let me do this. I'm going to wrap up with a couple breakdowns of these modules. I want to walk you through that, but then I'm going to show you what we're doing just for Gary's group. And then I'll even raise the bar a little bit. I told him before we started and do something special for the first several. I'll give you a private email for us to do that. And so if you walk to the modules and you break these down, because this is what we originally did, and then we changed the entire model to say, hey, let's get everybody doing deals, and then let's, on some of those that want to go aggressively, let's partner on those deals. And it's much better than going out there and selling stuff. So here's what we did. Modules 1 through 3, just under $2,400. It's 10 modules total. So there's the breakdown each. When we had it retailed out, that comes to a little under 10 grand. Then we took all the bonuses, the seller calls, the buyer calls that are live, the forms, the different deal structure videos, and put a retail value on those. We had bonus those always, but the retail value on that, which is under 15 grand, it's loaded. When that screen flashed, I don't know if you saw it, but it's 90 modules, 90 different steps, 24 grand retail. And here's what we did. This is pretty cool. It makes it a no-brainer with an average price tag of, let's say you paid 24 grand for the QLS, with an average deal of 75 grand, that wouldn't be a bad return. It's 3 times return, right? But it's not that. Here's what we did. The QLS for his group, Gary's group, is $1,000. And I don't think to this day on our website we offer a 2-pay. So what we're doing is a 2-pay option for $527. So it's 1 pay and then 30 days out. Simple. You get access to it on the first one, not the second one. So that's what we did. Can't get any better, frankly. Can't get any more aggressive, and nothing's held back. We don't hold back bonuses. And then what I'm going to do first is just address this, and I don't want to come across, I apologize earlier if I said if I offend anyone, please don't take it personally, but I don't want people, we have out of thousands, we've had a handful of returns, and I don't want that. I don't even want the handful. So I don't want someone to do it if they just want this push button system. If you're not coachable in any way, if you literally, I'm not trying to insult anyone, but if you literally need cash like oxygen or water tomorrow, my suggestion always is go fix it first. Like I got a request recently, and this is no exaggeration. This was like within the last 14 days. Can you do a 10-pay? They asked Lauren in support, and I said, Lauren, please tell them to get a job, get that fixed, save up, and then come to us. You'll be in a much better spot emotionally. I don't want to just sell you a product emotionally and financially. So if that's the case, just wait. It's not a get rich quick, so if that's an expectation, I don't want that. And of course, whiners. So I just want open-ended, open to new ideas, open to explore new horizons, and then you'll have a positive experience. I promise you that. Now, we do offer the 30-day money-back guarantee. I don't even need to know why. It's cool to know why. If I get a return, it's odds. I say to Lauren, can you find out why? Like, is it the course or what's going on? Usually it's a life event. I get that. I love what Tony Robbins always said, and I use it over and over and over again. He says, don't should all over yourself. So if you think this is for you, and when I show you what the first 10 people will get, don't get to the point where you go, oh, I should have done that, I should have done that. I spoke for Ed Rush. Some of you may know Ed, phenomenal motivational personal coach. Spoke for him in San Diego 2 weeks ago, and I must have had, between Lauren and I, 6 or 8 emails. This room was only 60 people. 6 to 8 emails saying I should have done that. Now, I honored a few of them, but I don't want people to say I should have, I should have, I should have. Let's just see if we can take action. This quote was sent to me by Mike McCready's, who you saw in the video, who was just made, I should have updated you, just made a big decision with a newborn and is coming full-time January 1st, full-time. And he sent this to me in a text, and I said, I'm going to use that on my screen because it's a life-changing. And he just said, thanks. It was a life-changing decision I made. And so I'm going to use that. I think it's cool. I hadn't seen that quote from Tony. Here's what I'm doing for the first 10. Doesn't mean you guys have to rush it. If you're one of the first 10, here's what we're going to do. If not, you still get a whole bunch of value for $997. First 10, I'm going to do this. And they'll just timestamp them. I'll tell you how to email it in a second. I'm going to do a strategy call with you because we're noticing that Bill and some of those people that are having great success all had a strategy call, and it really was pivotal. So we're going to do a strategy call with you for free. I'm going to give you an extra thumb drive. The thumb drive has on it, I didn't mention, every week on Thursday night at 6 o'clock, we speak for 5 o'clock, sorry, Eastern time. We speak for exactly 1 hour to all our associates. These are people doing deals around the country. We have challenges, we have wins, we have accountability, we have all kinds of cool. It's just a wide open mastermind on Zoom or on the phone. We just recently went to Zoom. I'm going to give you 9, I think it used to be 8, I think it's 9 weeks. It's 9 hours of listening to the mastermind talks live, just unedited. You'll hear us joking, laughing, people stressing. You'll hear everything on these. They're not edited. So they're going to give you that. I'm going to give you a live ticket to the event. One of the best things you can do is be at the event and really see what goes on behind the scenes. This year we had guest speakers like Ed Rush. We had Dr. Joe Vitale. We had some incredible people. We had retired Staff Sergeant Shiloh Harris. Look him up, Shiloh Harris. Amazing story. I don't have time to even tell you, but go look at his video. It will blow you away. He was our keynote. These are life-changing events. We only do them once a year. I want to give you a ticket. So it's $500 to come. You just got that for free with the course. I want to make this so it's an absolute no-brainer, and you feel like if you took your time and took 7 years to do a deal, you got enough bonuses up front. And then nuances from the trenches is what I alluded to at the very beginning when I said I want you to know what goes on. Like I want you to know the challenges. I want you to know where I banged my head. And so you're going to get that in the nuances. And so those bonuses are for the first 10 for Gary's group only. And then again, we'll hang on to that price. Here's what you do. You just simply send an email, and then Gary will tomorrow include a special link in his email, if I'm saying that right. But for now, if you want to be one of the top 10, first 10, just send an email to support@smartrealestatecoach.com. Lauren will watch the timestamp. Gary, did I say that right? You're going to send an email tomorrow too with a special link?
Yeah, and I appreciate it. That was one of the questions from Al Blanchard. Was asking if you could get, he's from Northern New Jersey, by the way, if he could get the email address again. So it's support@smartrealestatecoach.com, correct?
Yeah, spelled all out. Support@smartrealestatecoach.com. That's for the first 10. Just tell Lauren, literally, it's Lauren. She's phenomenal. Just say, I was on Gary and Chris's webinar. Can I be one of the first 10? And then Gary will make sure Lauren gets him a special link tomorrow just for his group, and it'll go out in the follow-up email.
Yep. And I do want to say something too, Chris. I appreciate you taking the time to do this and making this offer. And this is legit. And for everybody listening, and I'm sure you already know this too, Chris, about me, is I like to provide as much personal access to students as humanly possible. It's going to be even more difficult, but you do the same thing. And for everybody on here, I just want to say that's what attracted me to Chris is it's not like you get this and then you don't get Chris. You actually get Chris and his team, and that means all the world to me. I know whatever I'm learning, I want that direct contact and guidance, because there's stuff it's going to come up. I mean, you're going to little odd coinky type things, and you got to fill in the gaps. And you've probably done this so many times. You've seen all those little odd things that pop up, and that's priceless. I think you should charge more for your strategy call, by the way. It's just my own personal opinion. Everybody else probably saying, don't say that. But the thing is you're going to find yourself getting more and more popular because of this. And I just think you're doing a great job. I appreciate you cutting this deal for everybody. And again, everybody, I wouldn't have Chris on if I didn't see it for myself. And I can tell you, I know people that do this, and it is real. By the way, we do have another question. That was Alfred's. Real quick, this was well, the name didn't come through. Oh, Rolando. Okay. No, that's actually somebody else. He's asking your VAs, Chris, are they U.S. based, or are they overseas, or what's been your experience with the VAs?
They're U.S. based. I don't have an aversion to overseas. It's just that they're cheap, and usually it's tough to get them trained. It's not impossible, but it's tough. So we have all U.S. and for the associates that choose to be an associate later on down the road, you'll learn about that. We have some that we've used for 5.5 years. He told us the tally recently of how many calls he's done for us. It's insane. 60-something thousand. So he doesn't have to be trained a bit. You plug and play with him. And so we have him, and we have then 3 backups. They're all in the U.S. They're all very well trained.
Awesome. Yep. Oh, Rolando's asking access to the book. Does that just come from, I guess Beverly needs to hook up with Lauren. Is that right, for everybody to get the book?
Yeah, because Lauren will give them a link, because I can't put you in the system. They'll just give you a simple form, name, address, so I can get it shipped to you. Every single one of you can have that. There's nothing to do with your purchase. You can all get the book and the 3-year plan, And then the first 10 purchases will get all those other bonuses. You just got to specify when you're emailing, and then for the book itself, for the freebie for everyone, you'll have that link, Gary.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's pretty generous, and obviously I appreciate that. I'm, so hoping I can see you next weekend. I think I told you I've got some other things popping up here, so I won't be able to make that next mastermind.
Yeah, I'll get to the next round around. And guys, just from a patience level, please bear with us. When I say that we're doing these for free, I go on podcasts on occasion. If I love the host, like with Gary, we have a great relationship. I do that, but then I get back and Lauren says, "What are you doing?" So she has to mail all these out, and it's we have to pay for it. So just be patient with it.
Yeah, well, I can appreciate that. The reason why I've been literally separated from the operations of the business because a couple years ago, I mean, I would just simply say yes to pretty much anybody and everything, and you can't, So a lot of people know this now. I don't actually own My Vista Services anymore. I'm still lead trainer and in charge of product development, so I have voting rights. But the reason is I can just focus my time on the students, and I don't have to worry about operations. Beverly represents MIS, and it makes it a whole lot easier to grow and be able to take on people and support them. And I don't have to worry about, my time is strictly their time, and makes a huge difference. But that was what you just described there. That's what that led to. So,
Love it.
okay, but in case, let me check real quick here for more questions. There's still things coming in. A lot of them are saying, "Oh, thanks." Okay, well, they're saying, "Thank you, Chris."
You're very welcome. I hope I can meet some of you on a call.
Yep, and here's Mike Lucas. Okay, all right. When the guy who made 727 profit in 2 years, is that profit in actual 2 years, or is it that after the term of the deal?
Okay, good question. I'm sorry. What was the first name again, Gary, on that one?
That's Mike Lucas is from New York City, Manhattan. He's been around for a couple of years, and a real neat, just super nice guy. And he's taken action too, by the way.
Good question. Payday 1s and 2s were realized, and then payday 3 will be on the cash out. So that's one of the reasons I showed you that 2017 actual where you saw a big chunk on the cash out. So Don's cashed out, at this point, like literally as of today, maybe 7 or 8 of those. So I'd say he's got a good quarter of that left coming on the back end. Now keep in mind, let me throw you guys one of those curveballs. So let's say he's got 4 years. This has happened to me. Let's say he's got 4 years left, 4 years in a term, and he's got 1 year left, and he gave the buyer a 3-year term. It's usually what we would say to do, less than, so you have a little bit of a gap. The buyer has a life event. We've had everything from dad-in-law having a heart attack to 2 women getting separated to death. And so 1 or 2 of those happens every year to us, every year, no matter how well we pre-screen, right? Life happens. So what do they do? Well, you got a year left. You can put another tenant buyer in there if they pre-screen the right time frame. You can sell outright, which is what we usually do by FSBO or literally getting a realtor. We have a lot of realtors we give business to, and we just turn around and sell it. Here's a horror story for you that turned in really good. Mike, who you just saw, took a $35,000 deposit, payday 1, upfront, not scheduled, about 2 months ago. Month goes on. He finds out that the buyers are selling illegally. They do not have a license to sell marijuana out of the house. Husband gets arrested. Wife passes away. They're in the 30s. So talk about a life event. Yeah, talk about a life event. So Mike calls me. He's devastated. His wife said, "Oh my God, someone's going to come to our house." He didn't know what to do. So Mike, relax. There's nothing you can do. Nothing's going to happen. You guys put that back on the market. So he's got a long term left. This is a few months in. Turned around and resold that as of about 10 days ago. Took a $22,500 deposit. Loves the buyer. Said, "Man, everything happens for a reason. This is even better." It always happens. You'll find another buyer, but the fact is, you just have to know where to pivot. And I'm sorry for the long answer, Mike, but that question brought up a lot of thoughts I want to make sure I share with people. I'm an open book.
Well, that's good stuff because they need to know. Like obviously, you plan for as much as you can, but stuff is going to pop up, and what it shows is you can improvise, adapt, overcome, and there's always an answer. So, hey, Jeanette's asking for the email address again.
Sure. Support, SUPPORT, support. I know I got that funny accent, at smartrealestatecoach.com.
There you go. And Jeanette, remember Beverly's going to send an email to everybody with the
Yeah.
recording of this, plus the information from Lauren, who works with Chris. How to get the book and everything, you know?
Yeah, the book, the course, everything. So if you don't jump on the first 10 tonight, don't stress. You'll get it in the email from Gary, and he'll take care of it.
Yep. Well, you're getting a lot of thank yous, Chris. So, and I appreciate your time. Everybody else, I thank you for taking your time to be on tonight. And a kind of unique subject, unique night. And we don't really do this a lot. We do weekly sessions, but you know, I bring on a guest every month, but usually once a year or so, we'll have somebody like you guys got another program. And I'm glad to do, as long as it fits and matches, and yours clearly does. We're very, very complimentary, you know. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. We feel the same way, and I appreciate being on. Everybody have a good night. I hope I was able to affect a handful of you guys.
yep, I think so. So, okay, so listen, for everybody, we will see you next week's webinar is going to be Tuesday the 6th, same time, same bad time, same bad channel, 7 p.m. Eastern. And then everybody, if you come into this weekend in Chicago, look forward to seeing you there. In the meantime, God bless you all, and God bless your families. Okay, take care, everybody, and Chris, we'll be touching base probably tomorrow, either you or me or Beverly then, okay?
Fantastic. Talk soon. Thanks. Have a good night, everybody.
You too. Bye-bye.